Well, hello folks, 2nd of March 2024, here with Edward. Edward's little trails here. We're at the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo, Michigan. My grandson and I taking a look at a Curtiss Wright XP-55 they have on display here. Pretty cool heavy-duty pusher. But we're going to walk over here and take a look at some real technology, some space technology. Be right back. Okay, we're entering the exhibit. We're going to see one of these aircraft that's been completely rebuilt. I believe it's in the other building, but we will see it. Come through here and we're going to hear about Dr. Goddard, about Einstein, the fathers of rocketry and science. This, I believe, was one of Wernher von Braun's V2 rocket engines. And you can see Dr. von Braun. Herr von Braun worked for the Germans program from the beginning of the war till after the war. Came to the United States and became the father of our rocketry here, in a way. There's his V2, a mock-up of it. They rain those down on London as well. He was going for a V3 in which they'd put a nuclear warhead in the tip of one of these and load one of these and one of these and send it over to Washington. But the war ended and he became a scientist on our side. Now we'll keep walking through here and we'll see what this will bring us out into. Be right back with you. All right, we're back here in the science and technology area of the Air Zoo. Everything you see here is real. The motors and so forth, the engines, these test modules. Some are mock-ups, but many are the real thing. This, of course, should be a Mercury setup. This is just a little module for the kids to get in and so forth. They have a real one over here. We have the helicopters that were used to pick the spacecraft out of the ocean after they returned. Like this one right here is a real practice module used to splash down and recover from helicopters like that. This is a Gemini. The Mercuries were singly manned. The Geminis had 2 pilots. And this is a test module for a Gemini. Of course, it goes on to Apollo, where we had the 3. There's a mock-up right here of the Gemini Capsule. The 2 astronauts inside. We'll go over here and take a little closer look at some things. Be right back. Some more video of the El Kabong 1, used, like I said, in tests. This was recovered in the desert. It came in on these little landing legs. Here's inside where the sensors would have been placed. Here's a moon rock. Everybody likes to see the moon rock. This is in there. Pretty cool. We have our own moon rock. Now, one of these, I've seen these before in a laboratory in Rochester, New York. And when you work on inside these, they have big rubber gauntlets that go around these hoops right here. and your hands go inside there, and they work with chemicals and so forth. They were working with chemicals there in Rochester. There was a vent hood system on the top, would vent everything out, and there was a burner inside that they could aim at what they were working with. If they wanted to destroy it quickly, they could just hit that burner on it, and it would just burn it to a crisp and evacuate it right out. And that's what this is. Now, these were probably used in the labs, maybe like Oak Ridge, Tennessee, or things like that, in the production of isotopes for the nuclear program. But they could have been used for anything, even in chemical labs and science labs right here in Kalamazoo. Pretty interesting. See what else is in here. Be right back. And here they are watching the first man on the moon, black and white TV. 1968. July the 20th. Right there in the living room. Dad promised Mom after the landing she'd get a new couch. I hope he followed through with that. Be right back. This, folks, is the J2 rocket engine used on the second and third stages of the Apollo moon rockets. The big Saturn V, these are the Saturn V rockets. The big main engines used on those will be on display in the other building. Wait till you see the size of those. But when that would separate, these would be the second stage engines. They would burn, and then the second stage would separate, and the third stage would take over and propel this, of course, out into space a good ways, and that would separate, leaving just the command module and the service module going through space. Here's a model of that rocket, and the engines we're going to see over in the other building are down here. The engines we just looked at are here and here. Be right back. Here's a little bad guy turns good. Here's a little cyborg. See what's around the corner. There's our R2-D2 and the droid friends. CP-30 hanging out here in the Air Zoo. There might be some aliens over here. We're gonna take a look. I think there is. There's aliens right here. They've landed. Holy smoke. That makes me want to learn to not be an alien. That's not good. Man, that's downright scary. Look at this guy, right? This must be pictures of alien fungi from space. Sucking it up. Look at this thing. That's about the end of that. I'm gonna head to the other building. We all know who this is. Here's Robbie. Here's the famous flying cars of Kalamazoo. Excuse me, sir. Very interesting. And we'll move in here. We haven't even gone to the other building yet. Here's the course there, the F4U, full flaps, tail hooked down, coming in there for a landing. You can see it has some cats in here too. We'll get to that in a minute. the F4 again. 650 caliber machine guns flown in the Pacific, made famous by Pappy Boynton and his Black Sheep Squadron. One of the engines. Here's an airplane. This is quite an airplane right here. These are made very famous in the Pacific. 650 caliber machine guns. John Wayne flew them in the Flying Leathernecks, F6F Hellcats. The master of shooting down the Japanese Zero. Let me tell you something about this. If you take the name of this being the Hellcat, one of the cat family, I had one of the pilots tell me this little feature some years ago. They said F is the sixth letter of the alphabet. They said you put it together, and he says it makes it the 666 Hellcat. I says, no kidding, no kidding. He says only the pilots of these things share that. They said it's been something that Padres back in the Pacific told the guys not to bring that up. But very, very interesting. And they did their job. Back here, one of the other cats. And I've seen these several times fly them all together, including the Tomcat. This is the FM2 Wildcat. Notice the landing gear? Okay. All carrier borne, 450 caliber machine guns, 2 in each wing right there. See pictures of them right here on the carriers taking off. It's one of the C-47 Skytrains, the Douglas DC-3s, the Goonie Birds, used in the invasion of D-Day. You've seen the guys jumping out of Bandit Brothers out of these, and you've seen these getting shot down out of the air wholesale. This one right here is pulling behind it one of the Wacko gliders that would be packed with about a dozen combat soldiers, and they would release after being towed into the air from the ground, and these planes would tow them across the channel over France, and they would release and glide in and land in the fields and so forth and attack the Germans. Behind me is a Sandy. This is a Douglas AD-4 Sky Raider. Vietnam will actually enter the Korean War, and in the Korean War they used these. Close ground support, carrier aircraft would have to land, crash land in the interior there of Korea, and these guys would come and hold off the enemy way. Rescue personnel could get in and pull them out. They used these in Vietnam successfully as well, shipborne or ground. You can see these wings are folded, shipborne operations. The twin 50 caliber machine guns. I'm sorry, yep. And actually these are 20 millimeter cannons. They're not 50 caliber machine guns. They're twin 20 millimeter cannons and a huge bomb load. They have 420 millimeters, 2 in each wing, and then I'll show you around the other side. This large bomb right here on the floor on display is mine. About 30 years ago, I bought this in Geneseo, Illinois, and had it shipped here to Kalamazoo. It's inert, it's empty. It's a 1,000-pound Mark 88 Model 0, and it's a practice bomb. They would fill it with water, and then it would weigh 1,000 pounds. And then they would use them to drop. They use these under these Sky Raiders, as well as you see the 500-pounders. I took this in and I painted it, and then I donated it to the Air Zoo. They've had it ever since. I'm very, very happy that they still have it on display here, along with the other bombs people have donated over the years. This beautiful big Skyraider. Right next to it, one of the airplanes that was found on the bottom of Lake Michigan. It was brought up many years ago. It was brought over to the building we're going to go to next, taken apart and refinished into its flying day condition. And they have it here on display. And it's quite a story about how they had brought her around and got this Douglas Dauntless dive bomber used in the Pacific. There's what she looked like when they brought her up out of the lake. There she is right there as they're towing it. 1993 from the bottom of Lake Michigan to the Air Zoo. Now she's in this condition. Here's the engine. Of course, they were able to replace it, as you can see. And you can see the bomb is tucked up underneath the nose on a trapeze. See that? When the dive bomber would come down, you can see his speed brakes are lowered. Those flaps keep him so he could keep the sight on target and slow his airspeed down to keep him on target, diving almost straight down. And then at the last second, he would release the bomb, and the bomb would swing down in that trapeze and then release, because if he didn't, it would come straight through the propeller right here and hit his propeller, and it would knock him right out of the air, if not explode and kill everybody right there. And that's why they did that. Here's a beautiful little section here dedicated to the Tuskegee Airmen. Heroes, one and all. Every single one of these flyers, what they did for the United States of America in World War II over Europe, is just unbelievable. You should read about them. You should watch anything that you can about them. It's unbelievable. Heroes, one and all. Here's one of their famous red tails right here, after they transitioned into the P-51 Mustangs. You see that red tail and you're an enemy, you had better watch out. These gentlemen right here, they were taking names. And that was no kidding. Look at the determination. Robert Claire Chandler from Michigan to a Tuskegee Airman. There's his air medal. Enough said. I'm gonna go check out the other building. Thanks for watching this video, and look for number 2. Have a great day.